What is the market value of a mother's last breath? In Sarah's hand, a red ledger records every hour of the last 10 years. $45 an hour for cleaning vomit, $120 for midnight crisis management, and a 20% soul-crushing surcharge. Total bill, $4.2 million. The exact value of this Connecticut estate. As she guides her dying mother's trembling hand to sign the transfer, Sarah isn't thinking about childhood memories. She's thinking about the law of mirrors. You gave me life, mother, and now I'm taking it back. In 2026, love is a liability, but a well-timed signature is the ultimate exit strategy. Would you call this justice or the most cold-blooded heist in family history? The front door slams, a violent intrusion into Sarah's meticulously crafted silence. Her brothers, Mark and Julian, arrive smelling of expensive cologne and airport lounge gin. They haven't been here in 3 years, yet they walk in like kings reclaiming a throne. To them, this house is just equity and unrealized gains. They see a dying woman. Sarah see a decade of her life that they spent in Bali and Dubai. The air in the hallway thickens with the stench of entitlement, a physical weight that makes the floorboards groan under the pressure of their hypocrisy.
Sarah retreats to the kitchen, opening her iPad. The screen flickers with 16 grid views, surveillance cameras she installed in every corner of the house. She isn't checking on her mother's breathing, she's recording her brothers. She watches them in the library, already whispering about real estate agents and auction houses. In 2026, loyalty is a myth, but metadata is eternal. Every greedy word they utter is being uploaded to an encrypted cloud, a weapon she will use to dismantle their legal claims when the time comes. Sarah picks up the red medical journal. It's heavy, laden with the weight of 1,000 humiliations. Inside, tucked between blood pressure readings, are the receipts. The $400,000 she would have earned as a lead architect, the social life she sacrificed, the therapy she never took. She flips to the back, where her mother's signature looks like a bird's broken wing. This isn't a record of care, it's a ledger of a hostile takeover. She feels a flicker of guilt, but it's quickly extinguished by the memory of her brother's laughter on a Zoom call while she was cleaning vomit off the carpet midnight. The monitor's beep becomes a flat, agonizing tone. The matriarch is gone. In the master bedroom, the brothers pretend to weep, their faces buried in silk handkerchiefs. Sarah stands at the foot of the bed, her face a stone carving. She doesn't feel grief, she feels a terrifying sense of completion. The transaction is finished. The woman who gave her life has finally paid her back. The room feels suddenly colder, as if the house itself is holding its breath, waiting for the war that is about to begin over the cooling body. The morning after the death, the air in the estate is thick with unspoken greed. Mr. Vance, the family's longtime estate lawyer, steps into the library with a heavy leather briefcase that holds the ultimate answer. Mark and Julian lean forward, their eyes scanning the paper documents like hawks spotting a wounded prey on the desert floor. They can already smell the liquidity, the real estate commissions, the freedom from their mountain of debt. Sarah remains near the back wall, almost invisible in the deep shadows, holding a cold porcelain cup of black coffee that she hasn't touched. She watches the trap open, her face utterly expressionless, waiting for the lawyer to speak the first word. The reading of the last will and testament is about to begin, but the rules of the game have already been rewritten in blood and numbers. Mr. Vance clears his throat, a dry, institutional sound that cuts through the fake solemnity of the room. He begins reading the legal text, defining the distribution of the primary residence and the 7-figure investment portfolios. As the words echo through the high ceilings, Mark's smile begins to fade, replaced by a sudden, sharp twitch in his jawline. The lawyer announces that the multi-million-dollar funds have been entirely restructured under a private trust. The brothers exchange a frantic, silent glance, realization dawning upon them like a freezing wave of Arctic water. They are not getting the cash. They are looking at a brick wall built by their dead mother's signature. And at the end of the table, Sarah finally takes a slow, deliberate sip of her cold coffee, the bitter taste matching her victory. Julian slams his fist onto the marble table, shattering the fragile silence of the mansion with raw, unadulterated anger. He demands to know why their names have been reduced to mere footnotes in their own family estate. He accuses the lawyer of malpractice, his voice cracking with the panic of a rich man facing financial ruin. The entitlement they wore like armor just minutes ago is now stripping away, leaving them naked and desperate. Mr. Vance doesn't even flinch, his eyes remaining cold behind his wire-rimmed glasses, protected by the absolute authority of the law. He simply points his finger to the final addendum attached to the document, dated just 3 weeks prior, a legal amendment that changes everything, turning their expected inheritance into an unreachable mirage. Sarah finally steps forward from the dark corner, her heels striking the hardwood floor with the precision of a military march. She places the red medical journal right over the legal papers, a blood-colored stain on their corporate greed. She looks her brothers in the eye, her voice dropping to a freezing whisper that makes the temperature in the library plummet. "This is the invoice for the last 10 years, she says, and it is legally binding." The ledger opens to reveal a flawless, professional breakdown of every hour spent, every medical bill paid from her own account, and every sacrifice itemized. The total figure matches the exact valuation of the trust funds to the last dollar. She didn't just care for their mother, she bought the estate hour by agonizing hour while they were living their high lives abroad. Mark scoffs, trying to regain his composure, claiming a handwritten journal holds no weight in a court of probate law. He threatens to bring a team of corporate attorneys to drag her through years of litigation until she goes broke. But Sarah anticipated his predictable arrogance. In 2026, old money fears new technology. She flips her phone onto the table, revealing a sequence of verified blockchain transactions tied to their mother's personal digital wallet. Every dollar she spent on their mother was converted into immutable smart contracts, legally transferring equity of the house with every transaction. The mother didn't just sign a will, she approved a digital liquidation of her assets. The brothers are not fighting an emotional sister. They are fighting an encrypted algorithm that has already stripped them of their birthright. Julian lunges forward, screaming that their mother was cognitively incapable of approving such tech transactions, claiming Sarah manipulated her mind. He vows to prove elder abuse and void the entire digital trail. Sarah calmly presses play on an audio file on her iPad, and the voice of their dead mother fills the room, clear and unshakable. The voice explicitly details the arrangement, confirming she is fully aware and willing to trade the house for Sarah's life. But the terrifying truth remains hidden in Sarah's mind. The voice is a flawless deepfake, trained on thousands of hours of her mother's old voice notes. In 2026, an AI clone can deceive even the family lawyer, and the dead can speak whatever the living require. The ultimate deception is masked as a dying wish, an undeniable audio alibi that seals their financial doom. Mark threatens to tie Sarah up in the media, to expose her as a greedy manipulator who stole her family's legacy. He pulls out his own phone, preparing to call a journalist contact, weaponizing public shame against her. Sarah doesn't move a muscle. She simply gestures up toward the subtle, smoke detector-style security cameras hidden in the ornate crown molding. She tells them that every conversation they had about liquidating the assets before the body was cold has been live-streamed to a secure server. She plays a clip back. Mark, laughing about placing their mother in a cheap government facility to save money. Julian talking about selling the family heirlooms on the black market. The corporate facade is shattered by their own recorded words. The hunters have walked directly into the cage, completely unaware that the walls were watching them all along. Sarah slides 2 non-disclosure and waiver documents across the cold marble table, the paper gliding with a whisper that sounds like a death warrant. She offers them an ultimatum:
sign away their rights now, or the recordings go live to their respective corporate boards. In the cutthroat world of 2026 American corporate culture, a scandal like this means immediate termination and social exile. Sarah isn't just taking their money, she is holding a knife to their entire professional survival. Mark looks at the pen on the table, the same silver fountain pen that their mother used to seal her fate just hours ago. The irony is heavy, a physical weight in the room that makes it hard for him to draw a breath. The pen is no longer a tool of inheritance. It is an instrument of total and complete surrender. With a hand that trembles even more than his mother's did, Mark picks up the silver pen. The corporate titan has been brought to his knees by a sister he dismissed as a mere servant for a decade. He signs his name. Each stroke of the pen feels like a drop of his own blood leaking onto the parchment. Julian follows, his face twisted in a mixture of bitter hatred and pure terror, signing away his future with a violent scribble. Sarah watches them execute their own financial execution, her heart a cold, dead organ that feels no joy, only a grim satisfaction. The debt has been collected, the invoices have been cleared, and the family ties are officially severed. The transaction of their brotherhood is closed, leaving behind nothing but corporate ghosts in an empty house. Without saying a single word, the brothers grab their designer coats and walk out of the library, their pride dragged in the dirt. They do not look back at the house, nor at the sister they leave behind in the mansion. The heavy oak front door slams shut for the last time, a definitive sound that signals the total death of the family unit. The silence that follows is immense, filling the grand hallways like a rising tide of cold gray water. Sarah stands alone in the center of the vast kitchen, surrounded by the high-tech appliances and the quiet hum of the smart home system. She is now the sole owner of a multi-million-dollar estate, the absolute queen of an empty kingdom. She won the war against her blood, but the victory smells of dust, medicine, and total isolation. Night falls again over Connecticut, wrapping the mansion in a suffocating shroud of blackness. Sarah sits in her mother's empty bedroom, the bed meticulously made, looking like a fresh grave in the middle of the room. She holds the iPad in her lap, her fingers hovering over the deep-fake audio file that sealed her triumph. The voice of her mother is just bytes of data now, a digital ghost that she created to destroy her own brothers. A sudden wave of chilling doubt hits her chest, an uninvited guest in her fortress of logic. Did she do this for justice, or did the 10 years of isolation simply turn her into the exact same monster as her predatory brothers? The boundary between a victim's defense and a predator's greed begins to dissolve in the dark. Suddenly, the smart home system alerts ring out, a sharp digital chime that breaks her psychological spiral. A notification blurs onto her screen, an encrypted email sent automatically from an unknown offshore server. She opens it, her heart freezing in her throat as she reads the sender's name. It's from her mother's attorney, but dated a year ago, programmed to be delivered only after the estate was settled. Attached is a video file. Sarah presses play with a hand that has completely lost its steady coldness. Her mother's real face appears on screen, healthy, sitting in a lawyer's office 12 months before her mind collapsed. The dead mother is about to speak from the past, exposing a truth that no algorithm could ever predict. In the video, the mother speaks with a voice that contains none of the frailty Sarah recorded, but a cold, architectural firmness. Sarah, the mother says, if you are watching this, you have successfully taken the house and used the red journal. The mother reveals that she knew about the hidden cameras, she knew about Sarah's resentment, and she intentionally left the estate vulnerable. She confesses that she used the inheritance as a final social experiment to see if she could breed a successor tough enough to survive the family name. She engineered the entire conflict, fueling the brothers' greed and testing Sarah's coldness to its absolute breaking point. Sarah didn't masterfully steal the estate through technology. She was merely a rat finishing a maze designed by her mother. The ultimate traitor wasn't the daughter or the brothers.
It was the mother who turned her family into a gladiatorial arena for money. The video ends with the final, devastating sentence from the matriarch. Welcome to the top, Sarah. It is cold, it is lonely, and you are now completely alone, just like me. The screen cuts to black, leaving the library in pitch darkness. Sarah drops the iPad onto the floor, the glass shattering with a sharp sound that feels like her own soul breaking into a million unfixable pieces. The multi-million-dollar house around her feels no longer like a prize, but an enormous corporate mausoleum. She has the wealth, she has the trust, she has the complete ownership of everything her family ever built. But as she walks to the window and looks out at the empty, frozen Connecticut streets, she realizes she has no one left to call, no one left to hate, and no one left to trust. The American dream of absolute ownership has turned into a prison of her own perfect design. Sarah returns to the kitchen table, her movements slow and mechanical, like an automation device running out of battery power. She picks up the red medical journal one last time, opening it to the very last blank page. She takes the silver fountain pen, her fingers firming up for one final entry into the ledger that dictated her entire youth. She doesn't write a dollar sign, nor a list of chores, nor an invoice for her brothers. She writes a single line, paid in full, cost, everything. She caps the pen, leaves the journal open on the empty table, and walks away into the dark hallways, leaving the ledger behind for the empty house to keep. In the free market of family loyalty, the transaction is finally complete, and the silence is the only profit left.